Hello, vinyl community. Mike Guitar Player 07 here, coming at you live with another freaking vinyl record video. And today, as you can see to the side of me, we have the one, the only, now man with a chin, the vinyl record spinner, Dylan.
Hello, hello. Yes, I do have a chin. The beard is gone.
Yeah, I don't know. And I have a stash now, and he has nothing. I don't know what to do. I grew this I grew this stash just for this video to match him. You know.
Well, you know what? And I was just telling you this before we went live. I was filming a video today, and the way I had my angle, like on my phone, it was so unflattering that I said to myself, I think I'm gonna wait until the 5 o'clock shadow is at least back, because I hate when this shows.
Yeah, I can understand. So, the first collaborative VC video, I've seen a couple of these floating around, so I've asked a couple
Yeah, this is kind of the in thing to do, like with, this whole COVID-19 thing going on. A lot of people are at home. I know Dylan at Noble Records is doing a bunch. I saw recently Norman Maslov did one with Steve Carlson. So now we're joining the gang.
Yes, and I thought it was cool. So I've asked a couple people to join me. So we'll see how that goes. And Dylan, there is actually another VC member who might be interested in doing a collaborative video of me, you, and that individual. But I didn't even mention that to you before we went live. But there is another line that may or may not happen. If we're interested, we'll see if how that goes. But anyway, so the point of this video, you know me, you know Dylan. What is one of the genres of music that we show a lot of? Well,
I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with frog.
All right. So what rhymes with frog? Grog, bog, mog, fog. No, you idiots, it's Prog.
Look at this shirt. Come on.
So we chose 5 Prog records each to discuss. And it's funny because initially I had that Fragile album, but then I decided to go a little deeper and choose a different record. Whether it's yes or not, who knows? That's supposed to determine, because I don't know what you chose. You don't know what I chose. So let's get started. You are the guest, so you go first.
Oh, I was going to say, you're the host. You should go first.
Oh, my God.
All right. I'll get this thing rolling.
All right.
I'll take it out of the sleeve just so you can see it better.
See, I came prepared. I already did that. Oh, God damn it. This is one of mine.
Oh, no. Listen, guys, we did not plan this. This was not planned.
Literally, this is of the 3 Emerson, Lake and Palmer albums I have on record, this was the one I could talk the most about. But all right.
Really?
I'll let you talk about that. I'm going to choose a different one.
Okay, so in terms of fun factoids to know about this record, this was recorded during the brain salad surgery era. Actually, it was called the Someone Get Me a Ladder tour, which is a line from the song Still You Turn Me On. This is kind of the classic case of traditional prog rock live albums. It's a triple LP set. And hell, I mean, Tarkus, the studio version, normally takes up a side of vinyl on the studio version. It expands onto side 3, which is pretty wild. But, I mean, we have some fantastic renditions of things like Hoedown, Jerusalem, Toccata, Take a Pebble, and all the Greg Lake stuff, Still You Turn Me On, Lucky Man, and Piano Improvisations, Carnival 9, all that good stuff. And just for the sake of showing, because it's a 3 LP set, you have to have the EL&P.
There it is.
Triple gatefold. I have a lot of memories with this because I think I was the only 3rd grader in Catholic school that was listening to these guys. So, like, a lot of times I get picked up from school and, like, most of the times this album would be in the car CD player and just, enriching my prog music vocabulary. And this is definitely a fun listen. This is the newer version that came out. This is the one that BMG put out a couple years ago.
I have it originally.
They kicked it out of the park with these ELP reissues, and this sounds absolutely spectacular.
That looks they did a very good representation, because mine is more of an original pressing. I don't know if it's a direct original pressing or an early pressing, but it looks very similar. So yeah.
Is it on the Manicore label?
Yes.
Nice.
I believe it is. I put it away so I can't check now because I pulled out the other ELP one. But so you're just rocking around with ELP's live album while everybody else in your school is singing Jesus Loves Me, This I Know.
Pretty much.
All right. So fun fact about ELP, because now we know the fact that I have an ELP record, so it's my turn, and I pulled out another ELP album, and I only have 3 on vinyl record. So I pulled out the one that really got me interested in ELP, because I used to own the album Trilogy. That was the very first one I ever heard. It was about 5 years ago, before I got into prog. I hated it, so I gave it away to a friend. I regret that decision, but I did. So I bought a collection almost a year ago at this point, and it had 2 Emerson, Lake and Palmer albums in it. It had the one that you just showed that I also had pulled out, and also I have it in my hand. And then the other one I just bought a couple weeks ago. But the one, even though it's not as cool as the live album, it is the best of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, the very first comp album. Because this really got me into it, because I'm telling you, I came from remembering Trilogy. I disliked it. So I was like, I have it. I might as well give it another shot. And boy, am I glad I did. I'm loving it now. And Carnival 9, I'm telling you, everybody makes the jokes, welcome back my friends to the show that never ends. And I never knew what I was talking about or was to mention. Well, now I do. So, of course, this has the hits. Lucky Man, Hoedown, Carnival 9, as I just mentioned. Still You Turn Me On. Fanfare for the Common Man, and Tiger in a Spotlight, which makes me want to buy both renditions of Works, because I don't own those or I've ever heard of them.
They're definitely worth checking out, I would say. The volume 2 is interesting. It's kind of like a bunch of offcuts and singles and such. It's actually not too bad. It complements the first one rather well.
Okay. Yeah, I want to get them both eventually. Trilogy is on here, Jerusalem, and Peter Gunn. I really liked Peter Gunn.
That's an awesome rendition of Peter Gunn.
It really is, because I have the Henry Manfredetti original soundtrack of it.
Okay.
From the late 50s, early 60s. But I heard this version. I was like, wow, that's so cool. The like synth version of like, the way it's really cool. So
it's killer. I think I have an old copy that my parents, one of them owned it back in the day, and I still have it on my person somewhere.
Okay. And something, I mean, I don't understand this album cover, like the Asian aspect of that.
Yeah, I never got that, but like I get they're holding the albums in there.
Right.
Like you can see the references of like the first album, Brain Salad, and Works Volume 1. So I guess it ties in.
I don't know. I mean, it's just fans enjoying the music, I guess. I didn't know if you knew the Asian or not, but I do see like they're self-titled, as you said, Brain Salad Surgery. This is a live album that I don't remember the name of it, but it's a live album with Peter Gunn on it.
It's Emerson, Lake and Palmer in concert, but in the 90s, they rejiggered it. They added a bunch of stuff, and they called it Works Live.
Okay. And then this is the one that you just showed. And, yeah, I think that's all the ones they have. And, of course, they have the turntable and all that. So,
of course,
there's my 1.5 pick. All right.
So, next up, and this is actually a bit of an interesting version of this album.
Oh, yes.
Can you catch that?
Oh, yeah.
So, you would think that this was the American version of their first album. No. This is actually the West German version of Time in a Word. Nice. Now, interesting thing is, the cover photo that you see here, this is what Atlantic used in the U.S. for the first Yes album. And then for Time in a Word, they used a different photo with Steve Howe, who didn't play on the record, but he was in the band at the time. For the West German version, they essentially used the first album American cover, but what makes this distinctive for being Time in a Word is that they just simply included it right there.
Nice.
And then the back cover is really unique. It has a picture of the band inside that old school Bubble Yes logo.
Oh yeah, like what the one album cover looked like. I can't remember which album cover they had.
It was the first album, like the international UK version.
That's why.
But what's interesting about this West German version is that there's a couple of alternate mixes used for a couple songs, and they actually swapped out one of the songs that's on the original album for a B-side of a single instead. And to be honest, I like the flow of this one better. The song I'm referencing is it's a song called Dear Father. It was the B-side to the Sweet Dreams single. I think that replaced the song The Prophet, which is on the international version. But on this, you have the Richie Havens track, No Opportunity Necessary, No Experience Needed. Stephen Stills, Every Day. So it's still kind of in covers territory in terms of early Yes. But of course, we have the title track, Astral Traveler, Sweet Dreams. This is a really solid early Yes album before they really kind of picked up.
Very nice. Well, just so happens that I chose a Yes album too.
Dude,
So,
like, I'm telling you, we did not plan this to
we are
happen.
pretty much the same person. So I chose actually what is my favorite Yes album. Drama.
Yes, good choice.
I love this album cover. I love the works. The gatefold is beautiful of the band. I love these cats. I don't really know the point of the cats, but I love them anyway. And this Roger Dean was a fantastic artist. He still is. He's
Dude,
still
one of the probably the best cover designer in my opinion. The best.
The only
hands
thing
down.
that sucks is that I have the price sticker on here because I tried pulling it off. It was going to destroy the record. I was like, no. But thankfully, most price stickers I'm able to get off records, but this one was not one of them. I could.
Have you tried Gugon?
I have not. I didn't want to do anything fancy. I was afraid.
I got you.
But yeah, I got this, and Roger Dean has done a lot of other well-known album covers. The first two album covers for Yes, at least, or not Yes, for Asia.
Asia, yeah.
Their debut and Alpha. He also did a couple Gentle Giant. I know he did Octopus. I don't know what else he did, if he did any others for Gentle Giant, but
he I know he did a record for the band Focus recently.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The kind of like a Dutch prog band. It's an album that came out fairly recently, actually.
Yeah, actually, now that you mentioned it, I actually know what you're talking about. So some of the two highlights on this album for me are the songs Machine Messiah and Into the Lens. Now,
oh yeah.
Into the Lens is my favorite Yes song of all time.
Ooh.
Now, you just listen to it, you hear the lyrics. I'm like, I am a camera. Camera. Most people are thinking, what kind of drugs are this guy on? Why is he just saying that he's a camera? What the hell? But if you really pay attention to the lyrics, it's actually kind of a really beautiful song.
It is. It is. You know what? It's funny that you show that. I actually just spanned Drama a couple days ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
I might have to pull out the CD version of this because I was telling Dylan this, but my turntable needs a new stylus, so I can't. I'm not risking ruining any records while playing records at the moment. So I'll pull out the CD version. But I have that version for when I get the Ortophon 2M Red if it's compatible on my record player.
Yes.
All right.
Next up, this one's actually a rather sentimental one.
Nice. Trick of the Tail. That's one I've been wanting.
Genesis.
One of my Genesis
Trick of the Tail. And someone smudged on it. And by someone, I mean Steve Hackett.
Yep. I remember you showing those in a live stream on Instagram.
Yes. You know what? It's funny. Before I talk about the record, I've met Steve Hackett many times, like doing like meet and greets and post-show, like, meetups, that like when he sees me, he goes, oh, hey. I'm like,
yo,
this is weird.
That's like so Emma. It's like Emma at 8 Vinyl Low with Cheap Trick. They probably just go up to her.
Oh God, yeah. So this was my introduction to Genesis at a very young age.
Wow.
I can't remember. I'm trying to think how. Maybe I was 4 years old when I first heard this album. Maybe 4 or 5. I was an early bloomer when it came to prog. I mean, Genesis is one of my mother's all-time favorite bands. Same with my dad. And I remember.
When I was 4.
What's that?
When I want to know what I was listening to when I was 4.
Please tell me.
Disney's More Silly Strongs featuring
Hell yeah, dude!
and Kids Bop CDs. Literally, like things like the Disney one had things like On Top of Spaghetti and all that stuff.
My God. Listen, you had a great childhood from that.
Yeah, but the Kids Bop ones had like the hits, just the Kids Bop versions. Like that was what introduced me to like songs like All Star and Walk on, Soak Up the Sun and all those classic early 2000s hits and Baby One More Time.
All Star before Shrek memed it and like made it into a whole thing.
But wow.
So with this album, I remember the first track, of course, is Dance on a Volcano. And right off the bat, I was like, holy crap, I'm really digging what I'm hearing. But then after that last verse, it goes into that fusion jazz ending. Mm-hmm. And by then I was sold. I'm like, what is going on and what am I listening to? Like that really, not to say that that sold it for me, but just that kind of took it to a whole other level. I was like, I need to listen to more of this. And so then from there, I checked out all the Gabriel records and everything else beyond that. But I just have a lot of fondness for this because I remember after the opener is Entangled, beautiful acoustic track, and then it kicks into one of the greatest concert openers, and that is Squonk, which is just a killer track. And then, of course, Ripples is on here, the title track, Los Endos. I mean, this is high up in terms of my Genesis kind of ranking. This is one of their greatest all-time moments.
Yeah, that one's definitely a grail for me. I have it digitally because my friend's dad had the CD and my friend had it on his computer and then copied it to my computer, so I have it digitally. I need that on record. That and like Selling England are my biggest like Genesis grails to get.
Yeah.
On top of now, I don't know if you saw on my Retrospin Vinyl Instagram page, but I got Invisible Touch on cassette, and
yes, I did see that.
I need that now. I'm telling you, you and Bill at the Vinylverse have got me like into Genesis because I knew who Genesis was. My parents had Akabab, or however you say that name of that. Abacab, yeah. And the I Can't Dance album on CD. So I've heard like I Can't Dance. I've heard that song more than any other Genesis tune.
Yeah.
But because that's what I clung to as most young Genesis fans when they first
But did you do the walk though when you listened to it?
I should have. I didn't. But anyway. But since I just mentioned the 4-year-old me loving like Kids Bop and all that other stuff, I must say though, the very first, I have a memory of the very first artist that I really got a name to that I really enjoyed was Pat Benatar. That was like,
hey, not a bad place to start.
No, elementary school, because back in gym class in like first or second grade, I remember they were playing a song called "Hit Me With Your Best Shot." We were running laps around the gym like you did back then, and I went home that day and I was like, "Do you know the song "Hit Me With Your Best Shot"?" in the non-puberty like voice that we all have. Like, who does that? And my mom pulled out Pat Benatar's Best Shots album that she had when she was a kid, and then we jammed to it. It was great.
That's awesome.
So, should I do a more generic one? A generic one that is fairly obvious for me to pick?
Just I would say just pick up what's next on deck.
Okay, then I'll choose this one. One of my 2 MoFi copies of this album, Dark Side of the Moon.
Yes. Yes.
We all know what this gatefold looks like. We all know what this album looks like. However, this is the MoFi copy. For whatever reason, my grandfather had 2 copies of the MoFi copy, and I'm lucky to have them both. They both play perfectly, so I really don't have an explanation. He probably thought he had it, and then he bought a second one because he forgot or something. I don't know. But anyway, we all know what this album is. It starts off with the classic "Speak to Me" and "To Breathe," which, I mean, breathe in the air. I mean, we kind of need that kind of like refreshing, being like, just relax with all the crap going on in the world today. Then it goes into On the Run, and then Time, which is arguably one of the highest moments of the album, but not the highest moment for me personally, because my favorite Pink Floyd song, one of them of all time, is The Great Gig in the Sky. And
excellent choice.
There are times that if I'm vocally warmed up enough, I can hit those notes. Not that I'm proud of it, but I truly can.
Well, you know what? I know how to play it on piano, so if anything, we might need to do a special cover for the VC.
I'll do it.
if they want to see it, let's do it.
I promise you, I will do it. I just got to be really warmed up and
chamomile tea, guys. Chamomile tea.
Right. And then, of course, it goes into the no pun intended, but money song for Floyd that got them.
Of course, that was the hit.
Which is usually the song I skip every time I hear this album at this point. I've heard it. I'm sick of it. Don't get me wrong; it's a good song. No,
it is, yeah.
But. And then we have Us and Them, which is a beautiful song. Any Color You Like, Brain Damage, and then Eclipse. And classic. What hasn't been said about this? I just wanted to show a prog rock album, and I wanted to show Floyd, and I didn't want to show The Wall again.
Yeah.
But the thing with this is. One of the cool things about this is you hear talking intermittently, whether it be interludes or at the end of the album or whatnot. And Dylan, I'm sure you know this, but others may not. That is just recordings of them talking with each other, whether it be in the recording booth or within the studio live room, and just
So,
question and answer sessions, and kind
mhm.
of going into that.
So basically, Roger Waters devised a list of questions to ask certain people. I know that there is a Irish doorman named Jerry. He was the doorman at Abbey Road. He was the one that says, "I'm not frightened of dying. Any time will do. I don't mind." That's him. Um, who else? I know. Actually, it's been said it was never appeared on the record, but uh, Paul McCartney was interviewed
Oh yeah, I
because I
knew.
believe because there was another guy from Wings that did it as well. The name is escaping me right now. There was also like road crew members that they interviewed and such. I mean, just people of that sort.
Right. I love how like I'm the one who's like, oh yeah, these are the great songs, this that, and everything, and I don't know much of the history, but then Dylan helps me out with the history. It's great. I love it.
There's a reason why I excelled in other subjects. All right, I'm gonna go a little crazy right here.
King Crimson, okay. I specifically didn't choose
Lizard
Crimson.
by King Crimson. This is slowly becoming my favorite King Crimson record. Robert Fripp hated this record for many, many years. And it wasn't until Steven Wilson worked his magic in like the stereo and 5.1 mixes that he decided to kind of see it in a different light. And what's crazy is the recent incarnations of King Crimson have been performing a lot of this stuff live off of this record. And this is kind of more into the jazzier kind of realm outside of like the usual melodramatic Court of the Crimson King, Poseidon. Starts off with Circus, which is just really awesome, just circus kind of tune. You can just picture in your head the carousel that you're on. It's just crazy stuff. What else is on here? Lady of the Dancing Water is just whimsical, proggy folk at its finest. And then, interestingly enough, we have the side-long epic, which is called Lizard, which has the first part, which is called Prince Rupert Awakes, which is sung by John Anderson from Yes. Because the bassist / vocalist they had at the time, Gordon Haskell, had too much of like a gritty, soulful kind of voice. He just couldn't really kind of get that angelic John Anderson kind of feel. But yeah, it's very quirky, very jazzy. It's kind of all over the place. This is also one of my favorite album covers. And due to like the placement of like the letters and all the extra bits, this cover actually drives my girlfriend insane. She's like, I think this is perfect in every sense, but she's like, I can make this better. Let me just shift the letters around.
Dude, I must say, you had me rolling the other day when you were posting on social media. Why do you have 2 copies of Axis Bold as a Love?
Yes, yeah. You know what? It's funny because like,
that.
yeah, because my girlfriend and I, we filmed another video. I won't give too much away. But basically, she was looking at a bunch of albums that I had, putting something back, and she's like, why do you have 2 copies of this? I'm like, stereo and mono. And she's just like, she'll understand one day. If I sit her down in the chair, I'm like, hear the difference? Hopefully it'll register.
Yeah, it's funny. I was going to choose a King Crimson record, but I decided not to because I was like, he's going to choose that.
You know me well, man.
No, we would have 2 other same bands. You know what? I'm going to choose the obvious pick for me. Can you guess, Dylan?
Just show it. Just show it. We get it, Mike. You love Metropolis Part 2. We get it. There's other better albums. I'm kidding. I love that record. I love Scenes from Memory. I'm just busting your balls.
Oh, I know. This is your favorite Dream Theater album, too.
It is. It's perfect, dude. It's perfect.
All right. So I've talked about this record in the past. However, I've never shown it. I've spoke on the fact that it is the brown and orange variant that was created by the band members themselves for the special tour for the 20th anniversary of the band doing the album and for the Distance tour. So that's what it looks like. Music on vinyl, as I've said in previous videos, You got the beautiful Scenes from Memory Dream Theater logo, and you have the sword that is shown throughout the or the dagger really that's shown throughout the album. And if you I actually got mentioning M Light 8 Vinyl Low again, I actually got her to listen to this album. And
really?
She liked it. She said her favorite song was Finally Free. Or not Finally Free, Fatal Tragedy. Fatal Tragedy
Okay.
is her favorite song on the album.
It's a cool one. It's cool.
And this is actually a numbered copy.
Oh.
2,213. I don't remember how many were pressed, but it's numbered.
Does it say on the hype sticker on the resealable?
Yeah, good question, actually. 5,000. So actually,
okay.
That's a pretty low one, or halfway almost. So
yeah, that's not bad. It's crazy. I've actually never seen that particular pressing being shown. So this is a first.
Okay. Yeah, I've never really shown it or pulled it out. This is what the gatefold looks like. It's the it looks like what the CD has. The newspaper is on the back of the booklet in the CD, and then this the suicide note is on the where the CD lies.
The CD tray, yeah.
And then you have the lyrics for it and all that stuff. In one of my other videos, I talked about the meaning of the headline of the newspaper story, and it's actually literally lyrics from the song. I never explained the suicide note. Or was there really a suicide note, or was there an actual suicide?
There's a plot twist.
You guys have to find out by listening to the album yourself. However, the dagger represents the death of Victoria. For those who have been following me and have seen me talk about this video, it talks about that's how Victoria dies. Yeah, pretty much. I've already said multiple times all the great stuff about this, but in brief, to do a slight recap of the songs one by one, because this is one of the few albums I could actually talk in depth about, even though I do not know everything about this album, believe it or not, but I do know enough. So we're going to go into Regression, Scene 1, Track 1. And this is pretty much just Nicholas going into his hypnotherapy session, and he's going down and he's getting hypnotized, whatever. Then he's going into his peaceful sleep, and then it goes into a little medley of songs that he sings about getting into the sleep, and then starting to be able to happily understand what is reoccurring in his life that he is not understanding. And that brings us to Overture 1928, that shows a medley, like a Broadway show tune in Overture. It shows a medley of the songs that are being played, similar to what this is, except for the proggy sexiness that this is. And then it goes right into Strange Deja Vu, because, as I said, when he going into regression, he is not knowing what's going on. So he's having these strange deja vus. So he goes into that, and that's track 3, part 2 of scene 2. Then we go into scene 3, which is Through My Words. And a strange deja vu, he's just explaining what's going on, pretty much. Through My Words is a little short 1-minute thing saying, oh, what's going on? It's pretty much just a bridging point between Strange Deja Vu and Fatal Tragedy, which is the next track, to kind of...
Yeah, that's the next big one.
To kind of it pretty much just makes it so the two kind of connect smoothly. And Fatal Tragedy explains the situation as to what's going on, who this individual is, and what happened in a way. And then those two songs are scene 3. And then we go into scene 4, which is the song Beyond This Life, which goes into pretty much everything. I forget the details of it at this exact moment, but it's pretty much going through he's feeling something that's outside of his body. Victoria is dead. She died in 1928, and he doesn't know what's going on. Do you want to step in here for Beyond This Life for me a little bit, if you could help me out on this one?
So basically, Beyond This Life, if you look at the lyrics of the CD or the gatefold of the vinyl, you'll see if the lyrics are italicized, it is referring to the past. So for Beyond This Life, as you mentioned with the newspaper, it's essentially giving an exact account of what exactly happened according to the papers. According to the papers
and according to this news story, which,
yes,
that story, the real story, is it true? Is that suicide note real? Well, you
perhaps.
Make a determination yourself. Thank you. I needed that little kick in the head for a second there. And then scene 5 is going into the song Through Her Eyes, which I'm telling you is one of the 2 most heart-wrenching songs that Dream Theater ever done. talk about fretless bass that John Myung does. It's fucking beautiful. And then, it's just, I went into depth of this song in Rachel the Music Mam's contest entry. So you could go into that if you want to see the more depth in me. I don't want to just keep explaining myself over. But pretty much it's just talking about Nicholas visiting in his head, because it's all through hypnotherapy, visiting Victoria's grave and all that stuff. And just kind of seeing how little she got in her life, and he was given so much more. Which brings us to scene 6, Home, the song Home, which is my least favorite song from the album. However, it is so important to the album.
Well, look at the time. We're gonna...
No, it's cool, which is actually something that Emma actually told me about. This was, she thought that the sitar in this song was really cool. So what's great about Home is it gives you this foggy feeling, because Edward, which is the one of the two lovers of the love triangle that Victoria has, is constantly partying, constantly drinking, constantly in a daze, not really, he's intoxicated constantly. So the whole song is pretty much showing him and what he's doing, and kind of like giving him that uneasy feeling, and the uneasy feeling that one feels when is intoxicated, not really able to feel what's going on. It kind of is saying, oh, am I home? Like, what's going on? Where am I? Kind of thing, kind of situation. Pretty much showing what Edward is dealing with. Which brings us into my favorite song, my favorite instrumental song from the album, Dance of Eternity, part 1 of scene 7. I'm telling you, when I first heard this song, I will never forget the first time I heard this song. About 2 minutes 30 seconds into this song, Jordan Rudess, the keyboard player, goes into a 30-second ragtime solo. You're getting into this metal progginess, and then you just see this 1920s style ragtime thing. And most people are like, what? They're like, it's so random. And you're right, I guess it is. But it fits into the theme of the 1920s when Victoria was killed.
It fits the time frame.
I'm telling you, that's one of the hardest things I've ever tried to play on piano. I've been looking at that thing for 6 months, getting closer to a year at this point. First system of the sheet music, I still can't do it. Dylan, when we were on another chat another time, I showed Dylan my attempt at it. It's for the amount of time I was looking at it, you'd think I would know more, but no, Jordan Rudess is just a guy, and he is playing this like there's no tomorrow.
Basically, like, if a musician can get through Dance of Eternity, they can essentially master just about anything else.
Yeah,
it's that good.
Yeah, and complicated. So pretty much Dance of Eternity, it's not straight up said anywhere, but my personal interpretation, Dylan, I'm curious what your interpretation of this song is, but my interpretation of Dance of Eternity is pretty much just showing Edward in a daze, and then just with Victoria doing either beating on her, not like experiencing it, like trying to be lovey-dovey, not really knowing what he's doing, and then also engaging in coitus also is kind of like my interpretation in a way of that. But it's really nothing that's ever like clearly defined or stated in regards to this song.
Honestly, I think in terms of the narrative, since there's no lyrics, we can't really go off of anything. It's subjective to whatever the listener portrays it as. Right. I can kind of see it as just, I don't know, maybe it's referencing Victoria in the past, maybe, because that's kind of what Home kind of references, and it kind of, I guess, ties on. Or if anything, and this is just outside of the concept itself, it gives the guys in the band a pedestal to just step on for about 6 minutes, and then just be like, okay, now we're back.
Now here's again. You're not.
It's like, yeah, we're good. That's right. We want to prove it, and then all right, on to one last time.
Yeah, and then speaking of it, we're in part 2 of scene 7, which is One Last Time, which is pretty much just like Nicholas is like, none of this is making any sense. What's going on? Like, I'm not understanding. Like, I'm hearing these things. Like, I'm understanding what you're telling me, but it's not like I hear what you're saying, but it's not clicking with me. Why? Like, questioning it all. Which brings us to my favorite Dream Theater song of all time, scene 8 of The Spirit Carries On. Obviously, I went into depth with the Rachel Mams contest in this too. But really, it's talking about Nicholas is finally starting to understand what's going on a song later. It's pretty much talking about this, what's the meaning of life, essentially. And Victoria comes to Nicholas in this and is like, move on, just live your life for me. through me because Nicholas is the reincarnation practically of Victoria.
Yeah.
So the spirit carries on. Scene 8. And then once that comes in, Nicholas, scene 9, is finally free with the song finally free. And what a way to end an album.
Yeah.
On you.
I don't know if you want to give out too many details.
I'm not. The only thing
Okay.
I'm going to say about this is the fact that Victoria does come back. It does explain what really happens, if there's something that really happens, because, you know, in Fatal Tragedy, it tells you one thing, but Finally Free tells you another story about the whole Victoria situation. Which one's real? Which one's not? Which one is real?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not going to tell you guys. If you guys listen to this, you can tell me what your thoughts are, and I'll tell you if you're right.
Yes.
But pretty much after Nicholas hears this story, he's finally at ease, understands what he needs to understand, and essentially he goes home. He goes home, and he turns on the TV, turns it off, doesn't want to do that, goes to put on a record on, and the album comes full circle. What does full circle mean? Listen to the album, and you will know.
Now, here's a little bit of trivia for you, Mike.
Uh-oh.
Since you worship the helm of this record, and as do I, who played the role of the narrator on the album?
I do not know that answer.
Okay, I'm going to tell you. I have an example I can pull.
I mean, I think I did know at one point, but at the moment, I'm drawing a blank.
So it's a gentleman by the name of Terry Brown.
Okay.
Who produced a bunch of these guys' records.
My favorite Rush album, too.
Ah, there you go.
You knew that,
yes,
though. That's why you pulled that out.
I just had to point it out because, like, you mentioned the hypnotherapist. I'm like, wait, I have to say this.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's the fact that I think I knew at one point, but I couldn't recall, so that's very good. All right. That's probably gonna be the longest of the records that we talk about today.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But that's one that honestly we both could go on for. We could. I'm telling you, if we're both sitting in a room just listening to this album, I'm sure we could talk for hours just on this.
Oh,
album.
Absolutely, dude.
Well,
yeah, I mean, like real quick. I mean, I'll just kind of throw my 2 cents in. I remember buying it when I was in middle school. It was just one of those albums. I was like, all right, I'm going to buy this and I'm going to listen to it just for the sake of building my Dream Theater collection. And just, it was love at first listen. I became obsessed with it. And then did I buy the sheet music book as well? I'm not sure for that record. I know I might. I know I learned all the songs to some good extent or another. Because let's face it.
It's
but yeah, and as Mike had said, the copy that he got was sold on the Distance Over Time tour, which celebrated the anniversary of Scenes. So they played the album in its entirety. Fantastic. I have the somewhat same music on vinyl pressing. It's not colored. It's just a standard black version. And it sounds killer by all means.
Yeah, this one sounds killer too. I love it. Yeah, this album, it's very rare that I have an obsession with an album myself that I can keep listening. I mean, I love a lot of music, clearly. But there's very few albums that like I could listen to on repeat over and over and over again. Metropolis Part 2 is one of them, Scenes from Memory.
There you go.
All right, what's your fifth and final pick?
Fifth and final. So I decided to go extremely beyond deep. However, it is beyond deep, but it is of a well-known thing.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
It does.
Can you guess what this is?
I know what it is, but I'm drawing a blank as what it's called. I've seen that and I know what it is, but I can't name it. So
this is a Pink Floyd bootleg.
That's right. I'm kicking myself.
It says on the back here, it says, "Ce n'est pas une version officielle," which means this is not an official version, just to kind of point out the bootleg aspect. So this bootleg, it's 2 LPs. I'll show the vinyl on camera because it's beautiful colored vinyl. Are demos from The Wall.
I need that. I need that album. I need that bootleg.
And I'll tell you what, because I remember we were discussing this on a previous live chat, like you mentioned earlier. I told you that there was a Wall box set that came out.
Right.
roughly 8 years ago. What's cool about the Wall immersion box set, I have it up on my bookshelf, is that it includes band demos that the band had worked on prior to recording the record, as well as excerpts of Roger Waters' original Wall demo.
Wow.
And upon listening to that, like, it's not the full unedited thing, but you can see the skeletons of like what would turn into the Wall. And I'm going to tell you right now, hi-fi enthusiasts and whatnot, even though this is a bootleg, if you listen to this, you would think you had a professionally mastered record.
Wow.
It is that good. This is one of, I don't know if I would go as far as to say one of the best sounding records in my collection, which I feel like is maybe sacrilege because it's a bootleg, but it's killer. It's absolutely killer. And aside from Wall demos, you also get Richard Wright's original piano demo of Us and Them.
Ooh.
There's that. You have a version of Have a Cigar, which has David and Roger singing instead of Roy Harper, who sang on the album version. And then we have a version of Wish You Were Here, which has a violinist, what's the name? I'm blanking. Stefan Graffinelli, I think. I probably said that wrong, but I'm kind of on the right track. Now to show you the vinyl.
I swear, you have more green-colored variant records than any others.
I don't know why. I don't map this out. And you can see on the label, there's some sketches of the teacher from the Wall.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Which is cool. I don't know if you can catch it on camera, but there's like a little bit of flecks of like purple and such on the green vinyl.
Yeah.
And then this one is kind of like a lightish brown, and this one has the wife on that side.
Yeah.
And then we have a dark side variant on this side.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and I see a little bit of purple in that one too.
A little bit, yeah. I think I snagged this from, I think I got this from a Reverb LP seller. Who remembers Reverb LP back when that was active?
Me.
It's a shame it kind of shut down, because the cool thing with them is that you can easily get bootlegs rather easily instead of Discogs, which they kind of forbid it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're a Floyd nut and you love the Wall and you want to hear some of those demos and outtakes and different versions of things, definitely check out this. I think this is called Demos and Alternate Versions. That's the name that it goes under, but definitely worth checking out.
All right, so when I go to your house or when you go to my house, because for those who don't know, me and Dylan live in the same state and we live about 2.5 hours from each other, so we can actually meet in person.
Yes.
If we want. First of all, we're going to listen to that bootleg. And second of all, you might lose your Wall immersion box set.
I'll have my box sets under lock and key.
All right. So then my final pick.
What do we got?
This is another deep cut, which wasn't planned as being us both doing deep cuts for the last records either, but
yeah,
this is how in sync we are. So this is a deep cut for this band. It has some hits on it. However, most people don't pay attention to this album. They pay attention to two other very big albums by this band, the more mainstream ones. What band is this? This is Kansas. Audio.
Ooh, yeah!
One of the few records in my collection I kept the shrink wrap on because I don't really keep shrink wrap on my records anymore that I get. The ones that are in my mom's, dad's, uncle's, and grandfather's collection, I like to keep them the way I got them, unless there's like an extreme circumstance, because I'm just sentimental that way. But my records, I for the most part, I remove them and then cut out the hype sticker. But this one, I liked the hype sticker, and I was lazy and didn't want to cut it out at that time, so I still have the hype. I still have the shrink.
Cool though. That looks really sick.
And half the shrink is still on the back of this. Half it's exposed, half it's not. That guy looks hella creepy. I'm not gonna. But it's like some like. Have you ever seen that Netflix show Big Mouth?
I have not, no.
All right, well, it looks like the gym teacher from Big Mouth.
Okay.
That's all I gotta
I'll
say.
keep my eyes out for that.
But this is on Kirshner Records. This has the big hit Hold On. But I'll
Yes.
tell you, there's not a single there's other hits on this, but like that's the biggest one. But this has the songs Relentless, Anything for You, Hold On, Loner, Curtain of Iron, Got to Rock On, Don't Open Your Eyes, No One Together. No One Together was a hit too.
Yep.
No one together.
Together. Do.
No one. Yeah. And then No Room for a Stranger and Backdoor. I'm telling you, this is the first album that came out by them in the 80s.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, this has a custom label that looked pretty cool, unless it's a generic
Yes, it does. Yes.
label. Yeah, no, it does. It has a. That's a pretty cool label. Is it? I assume this is one you have in your collection too, Dylan.
So, just as you mentioned that, I have it, but wait.
So you pulled it out. You have a reissue of it.
Blue wax, baby.
Oh yeah, because the thing
it looks really sick, and also I think because this was done on the Friday Music label, and some of the releases are hit or miss.
Okay.
You know, depending on who does it and who does the mastering, they can sound particularly good. But this one was mastered by a guy named Kevin Gray. Okay. I don't know if you've heard that name before.
I have.
He's really big in the audiophile circles. As far as I know, he always works from tape. So if anything, this is definitely sourced from the tapes. And it also comes with a big poster of the album cover.
Yeah, I don't know if this came with a poster, but if it did originally, I don't have it.
Yeah, that's what I was curious on. I was like, did it come with the original? My mom swears that it did because she had a copy of this back in the day.
Yeah, the original version of this album was produced by the band themselves, not the guy that did it for you. But yeah, the thing with me and Dylan's record collection is we have the same albums, a lot of them. But Dylan has the reissues or the cool color variants, and I have the originals, or closer to originals.
Yeah.
Which, nothing wrong with that. But yeah, this is an album that doesn't get a lot of love because I love Point of No Return, and I love Left Overture. But
yeah,
you know, this is a great one. It
really is.
I just got Monolith, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Hannah at the Omaha Introvert VCLT'd me a copy of Kansas's debut album. So I'm learning more of the proggier side of Kansas rather than just like the pop hits that everybody knows, which is great because my uncle had Monolith, and then, as I just said, how I got the other one. So this is really the only non-generic Kansas album that I had until.
I mean, honestly, anything from like, I know some people might look at Point of No Return as the sort of cutoff point, but honestly, I mean, you can extend that to like 1980, and that's the era to go to. Now, granted, I mean, I don't hate the two albums with John Elefante.
Right.
They're not bad. I haven't really gone completely in on those. Some of the other 80s albums, Power, In the Spirit of Things is fantastic. And then they did a couple in the 90s. I think they're releasing a new record this summer, actually.
I heard that. Let's see if that actually happens with everything going on. But
yeah, right. Yeah.
But yeah, I did see that. The one that they released, I want to say it was 2016 that they released.
Prelude Implicit.
Yeah, that one was fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm like everybody else, unfortunately, with knowing mainly Point of No Return and Left Overture. But obviously I know Audio Visions. I now know those other two proggier ones, but really I don't really know anything past the cutoff of 1980 until that album. Yeah. And I was thoroughly impressed because I always like to check out new band albums. But like, for example, Asia's Phoenix album, I didn't love when I checked that album out. Like some of these bands are hit or miss with the modern releases.
Yeah.
I love Kansas has not been disappointing. Blue Oyster Cult is very good with their modern stuff as well.
Really?
Yeah. I actually saw them a couple of years ago live.
Really?
Yep. Put on a very good show.
I think I've never seen Blue Oyster, but my dad saw Black Sabbath and Blue Oyster Cult together.
That's quite a lineup.
I think that was the Heaven and Hell tour for Sabbath. So that was like 1980.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty cool. My only complaint about the Blue Oyster Cult show is this. They didn't play my favorite Blue Oyster Cult song, which is not – it's popular in the Blue Oyster Cult community, but for the passive fan, it's not. I really love the song Joan Crawford. It's my favorite Blue Oyster Cult tune, and they didn't play it. I was hoping they were because I know that on a couple of their live albums, they have it on it. So I was like, oh, I really hope they put – nope. But when I saw Kansas live, they performed every song I wanted them to play, so that was good.
Yeah. I will say this. I think the last time I caught Kansas, I think it was at the well, where was it? Because they always come to Atlantic City, so I always see them in Atlantic City.
Yeah, right. That's like what, an hour away from you?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
3 hours for me. So
yeah. And then like my godmother lives right on the boardwalk, so it's relatively easy. I think I saw them in the front. Was it the front row? No, it was. I had fourth row seats. They played at the Hard Rock, and
wow.
yeah. And the great thing with them, I mean, it's a shame that Steve Walsh is not there anymore. But the new guy, what's his name? I can't think of the guy's name, but he's fantastic. He's really, really good. And they've been pulling out a lot of deep cuts too sometimes in their live sets, which is pretty cool.
I was actually very surprised. They played Sparks of the Tempest when I saw them live.
Yeah, that's a. Now, just to clarify, you did say that you got Monolith, right? Recently?
Yeah, I believe that's the one I got. Let me double check. I believe it's Monolith. JK. Yeah, this is Monolith. Right? Yeah, Monolith.
Nice. Here, I'll show you my copy. This came out last summer, actually.
Okay. Let me guess. This fancy colored variant. Oh, yep.
You know me well, dude. Look at that.
Wow.
This was like the one gap of Kansas vinyl that I did not have. So when I saw this announced, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going for it. That was an absolute no-brainer.
That's killer. Wow, that's fantastic. So that was 5 records that we both pulled, and we are just geeking out at this point.
Yes.
I saw Kansas.
So if there's anyone that's still watching it at this point, you must really enjoy us.
And there are a handful of people who I know will be still watching at this point, so I thank you for those individuals, because I do know that there are some people who will watch every minute no matter what, which I'm very thankful for, and I'm sure Dylan is too, for those who do that on his channel. If you don't know who he is and his channel, his links will be below, of course. And speaking of Kansas concerts, you saw him in Atlantic City. I saw him in Newton at the Newton Theater.
Okay. I've heard of that venue a couple times, but that's like North Jersey, right?
15 minutes from my house, yeah.
Of course. I think the farthest I've seen a show is Newark.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I'll never show in Newark, but
yeah, that I'll never do Newark again, because like not New York, Newark.
Yeah, no. Oh, I mean,
just to clarify.
For those who don't know.
Yeah, like literally, we were like on the main like highway, and then everything multiplied by like 4 lanes.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm just like, I'm never doing this again.
There's like a part where I think it's like anywhere between 6 and 8 lanes too, which is terrible.
Oh, screw that, man.
Yeah, but pretty much. Yeah, we were about to close off, and then I just went off topic again.
So if you're still watching.
We really appreciate your face. And we want to hear all about what your thoughts are on these records.
Yeah.
I want to know how much you hate the fact that I keep talking about Metropolis Part 2 and how much you hate the fact that I keep talking about it. I want you guys to tell us how much you hate the fact that we both pulled out Emerson, Lake and Palmer's to say.
Oh,
no, I'm kidding.
That was not staged. That was pure act, like it just happened.
We were talking about this right before we started rolling. We should have been recording when we were pulling out the records, because I swear it would have been the best blooper reel. It really, truly would have been.
Be like, oh, wait, your internet's out. Wait, this is too tough. I'm putting this one back.
It was hilarious. It was great. So for those of you still watching, thank you. Leave us a comment below. Tell us what your favorite record from this was, or what your favorite prog record is. Dylan, I encourage you to comment on this video. I know you don't get to comment on everybody's videos, but maybe you'll
I watch a bunch. It's just when it gets to leaving the comments, I always try to pinpoint all like the stuff that like I think is notable of certain videos. And then sometimes like I watch some videos and I'm just like, wow, that's a lot of stuff that I am absolutely not aware of. That's the cool thing with the VC. I'm still learning about a lot of, artists just out in the world that, I've never been subjected to. I mean, I talked to Christina. She runs Vinyl Guru.
Yeah, she's new.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah, she's a new channel. She's fantastic. I was chit-chatting with her, and like I was telling her, like it wasn't until like I started college roughly 5 years ago that I just started to open myself up to the music world and see what else lies beyond the prog and hard rock stuff, which I always come back to. But, getting more into indie and folk, and I know I'll approach jazz at some point.
I will get you started with that. I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
there and right there. That's all jazz. Box
Okay.
sets till that and those three that well, they all combine into one cube, but it's like half a cube and a little bit more. That's all jazz.
Okay.
Not to include the stuff I have on digital and CD.
There you go.
I will be the one hooking you up with that jazz.
I'm all for it.
Or if you know any Broadway show tunes from Chicago, all that jazz.
Horrible.
Oh, I'm terrible. I know. But anyway, we've rambled on long enough. We're having a grand old time here.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more after we're done with this video. But I think it's now 12:30 a.m. almost on
Wonderful.
April 8th. So we've been recording yesterday and today technically. So that's kind of cool. We've been recording for 2 days straight. So anyway.
As you say, yesterday and today, I grab a butcher cover. I'm kidding. I don't have one.
I was going to say, yeah, butcher.
No,
right.
I have a couple of copies of that record, and I snag them if it's cheap. And I'm just like, let me see. And I haven't done the homework too much to find out for myself if it's like a second rate or whatever, but
okay,
one of these days.
I only have 2 copies of that album. One was an original press, and then I think one is a second press, and neither of them are the Butcher. They're both the suitcase cover. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. You guys rock. If you don't know who Dylan is at the Record Spinner, he is below. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave a comment what your favorite prog records are. Tell us how much you loved this video or didn't love this video. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe.
Yes.
Keep on spinning that wax, and I will see you in the next Vinyl Record video.
Yes, yes.